Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Mayor Brown's Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations. I'm Andrew Olmem, a former Republican chief counsel at the Senate Banking Committee. I'm joined by Michael Levy, a white-collar defense attorney and former federal prosecutor. Each week, we answer a question about congressional investigations relevant to in-house counsel and government affairs executives. For this week's question, we're going to turn to a subject that we have referenced many times before in prior episodes, which is how should you handle the media if you're the subject of a congressional investigation? Now, Michael, I know you have lots of experience handling the media in prior representations for congressional investigations, and I know this is a topic you could talk at length on. So for today's episode, can you just give us a quick overview of how you should think about the media and the media strategies when you're approaching a representation for congressional investigations?
Certainly, Andrew, and you're right. This is not a 5-minute answer, and there are no one-size-fit-all answers in these situations, just because every situation is unique. But I certainly think there are some high-level things that everyone should keep in mind and think about. And really, the first is the legal equivalent of the Hippocratic Oath, which is do no harm. Don't make your situation any worse than it needs to be, either legally or reputationally. So legally, that means making sure that whatever public statements you're going to make are consistent with your legal strategy in whatever current or potential government or regulatory investigation or civil litigation may arise. That usually requires a very careful balancing of interests between the lawyers, who typically want to say nothing, and they want to say that as late as possible, and public affairs executives who usually want to say everything as quickly as possible. In my experience, that's often really a false choice, and I think experienced counsel usually can find a way to communicate effectively without creating unnecessary legal risk, but you need to think thoughtfully about it. Reputationally, doing no harm, I think, usually means recognizing the congressional version of the now outdated adage about newspapers, which is never pick a fight with someone who buys ink by the barrel. Members of Congress are in Congress because they're exceptionally media savvy, and as a result of their office, they have incredible access to a wide range of media outlets that are more than happy to get their message out. Attacking members directly is almost never a smart strategy, but there are a number of techniques that you can use that may undermine their narrative indirectly, but a topic for another day. Next, know what to expect. Depending on the situation you're in, you may have support from one side of the aisle or the other. Sometimes it's in a surprising place, so you need to dig a little. In some situations, you don't have any friends who are willing to stick their necks out for you at all. You're probably going to handle the media very differently in those two situations. Be prepared. Members and staff very frequently leak what they consider to be the most damaging information that they've gathered a day, sometimes 2 days before the hearing in order to try to drive media and public attention to the hearing. Just be ready for that. Know what you're going to do. Next, pick a simple theme or at the most two. Especially when you're trying to combat a narrative that's driven by experienced politicians, complicated messages don't work. And to the extent that the media conveys your side of the story, you don't want them deciding which one of multiple ideas is the one that they should present on your behalf. You only get to control the narrative if you refuse to give the media an option about what your narrative is. Next, be consistent, as simple as that sounds. As much as possible, stick to those simple themes in your opening, in preparing to answer questions from the members during the hearing, in any statements that are made formally or informally to the media. This is going to make your point most effectively. It's going to limit your legal risk to the greatest extent possible because you don't have conflicting statements or concepts. And it's just frankly a lot easier for a witness to remember and execute if it's consistent and simple. And then lastly, I just would say, if an investigation is high profile or poses a significant risk to yourself or to your company or to your brand, let us retain a crisis communications specialist to work with us on the media aspects of the investigation. We've said in lots of different episodes that congressional investigations are different, and they're different from a media perspective as well. Creating a team of experts that's familiar with the media and with the legal elements of high-profile congressional investigations and can work well together is going to produce the best results. And if we are the ones who hire and retain the crisis communications consultant, that's going to ensure that our internal deliberations are protected by the attorney-client privilege and the attorney-work-product doctrine. So I could go on and on, but at least that's an overview of some things to keep in mind.
Well, Michael, I think it's clear that we've now established that we should come back and discuss this topic further in additional episodes. So for our viewers out there, stay tuned. We'll have additional episodes that talk more about how you can think about how you should think about the media with respect to congressional investigations. So that's this week's Mayor Brown's Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations. We'll see you next week.